Across vast mountains, along winding rivers, and hidden in green valleys, lie some of the most breathtaking places on Earth, the world's most beautiful villages. In a fast-moving world, where cities rise high and noise never fades, these villages remain calm, peaceful, and full of wonder. They are places where time seems to slow down, where cobblestone streets whisper stories of the past, and every sunset feels like a painting brought to life. Each village holds a charm of its own. Some are built on cliffs that overlook deep blue seas. Others rest in wide meadows, surrounded by wildflowers and forests. Many are home to warm-hearted people who live in harmony with the land, holding on to traditions passed down for generations. In this journey, we travel beyond the usual tourist paths. We discover simple beauty, old wooden houses, stone bridges, quiet chapels, and busy village markets. We see how life flows gently here. No rush, no hurry, just a deep connection to nature, history, and community. These villages are not only beautiful to look at, they are living treasures. They tell us stories through their culture, food, art, and music. High in the mountains of northern India, where the air is thin and the silence runs deep, there is a village unlike any other. Carved into the cliffs of the Lungnak Valley, in the Zanskar region of Ladakh, lies the ancient Phugtal Monastery, a hidden sanctuary that seems to grow out of the rock itself. To reach it is not easy. There are no roads, no vehicles, only narrow paths along rugged hillsides. For days, travelers walk through dusty trails and across hanging bridges as the peaks rise like giants all around them. But the reward is unlike anything else, a sight that feels like a dream. The monastery appears like a honeycomb clinging to the face of the mountain, its white walls blending with the earth, its silence filled with the sound of wind and prayer. This is one of the most isolated Buddhist monasteries in the world, yet it has been a place of peace and wisdom for hundreds of years. Inside, monks live a life of deep reflection, simplicity, and connection to nature. There are prayer rooms, libraries, and stone corridors echoing with chants and the soft footsteps of those seeking meaning. Below the monastery, the small village breathes in harmony with it. In the heart of southern China, where ancient peaks rise like stone towers into the clouds, lies a land shaped by time and mist. This is Zhangjiajie, a place of towering sandstone pillars, deep forests, and villages quietly holding on to their ancient ways. Here, nature feels otherworldly. The mountains stretch high into the sky, each peak standing alone like a monument carved by the wind. Between these stone giants, the villagers rest in the valleys, surrounded by bamboo groves, rice fields, and slow-moving rivers. The people who live here are close to the earth. Most belong to ethnic minority groups like the Tujia and Miao, whose traditions go back hundreds of years. Their homes are made of wood and stone, their roofs curved with graceful lines. Smoke rises gently from kitchens where meals are cooked over open fires. Sounds of handmade flutes and folk songs drift through the air. Daily life moves at a different pace. Farmers tend to terraced fields that climb the hills like steps toward the sky. Children play under trees older than memory. Festivals light up the villages with dance, drums, and colorful dress, each movement telling a story passed from one generation to the next. In the center of Turkey, where the earth rises and folds into strange shapes, a village rests inside a landscape carved by fire and wind. This is Göreme, a place where stone turns soft, history runs deep, and homes are built inside the rock. For thousands of years, people have lived in these valleys. They carved their houses, churches, and shelters into soft volcanic stone called tuff. The result is a dreamlike village, where chimneys grow tall like spires, and doors open into caves that feel both ancient and warm. Göreme is part of a land called Cappadocia, a region shaped by eruptions, erosion, and time. But here, nature and human hands worked together. Every hill, every wall, every tunnel seems to belong to both the earth and the people who live on it. As the sun rises, dozens of hot air balloons lift into the sky, drifting over valleys painted in soft reds, pinks, and golds. From above, the village looks like a world from a different age, but down below, life continues slowly and simply. The villagers keep old traditions alive. Meals are made with fresh herbs, olives, and stone-baked bread. Rugs are woven by hand, patterns telling stories of family and faith. Far out in the North Atlantic, where ocean winds shape the cliffs and clouds touch the sea, there is a village that seems untouched by time. This is Gásadalur, a small, quiet place tucked between green mountains and wide skies on the western edge of the Faroe Islands. For many years, Gásadalur was nearly unreachable. Surrounded by steep cliffs and rough terrain, the only way in or out was by foot, over mountain paths that rose high above the sea. Life here was shaped by isolation, but also by beauty. The village rests gently in a valley, where soft grass rolls down toward the sea. Just beyond the edge, a waterfall tumbles from the cliffs, falling straight into the ocean below. This single view of land, sea, and sky meeting in harmony feels like a painting made real. The houses are few, simple, and strong. Built to withstand wild weather, they sit close together, wrapped in silence and salt air. Smoke rises from chimneys, sheep graze freely, and the sea is always near, breathing, crashing, calling. Life in Gásadalur moves with the rhythm of nature. The winds carry the sound of seabirds, and the light changes quickly, painting the hills with shifting colors. Deep in the mountains of Shikoku, far from Japan's busy cities and glowing lights, there is a hidden world of mist, forests, and forgotten roads. This is the Iya Valley, a place of steep slopes, wild rivers, and small villages clinging to the sides of cliffs. Here, nature rules. The valley is carved by time and water, with bridges made of woven vines swinging over deep gorges, and narrow paths winding through thick cedar forests. The villages are quiet and few, their wooden homes nestled into the hillside like secrets. For centuries, this was a place of refuge. Travelers and outcasts once found shelter here, protected by the valley's deep folds. Today, the villages carry the same spirit, strong, silent, and full of history. Life is simple, shaped by the seasons. Farmers grow vegetables on steep terraces. Thatched rooftops lean into the wind. In winter, the snow comes heavy and soft. In spring, the valley blooms with cherry trees and wild flowers. The river never stops flowing. In these villages, time feels slow and generous. People live close to nature and close to each other. In the hills of southern Spain, where olive trees cover the land and the sun warms ancient stone, there is a village built not beside the cliffs but beneath them. This is Setenil de las Bodegas, a place where whitewashed homes disappear under great walls of rock, and life flows gently through stone and shadow. Here, the cliffs are not just a backdrop, they are part of the village itself. Massive overhanging rocks stretch above narrow streets, forming natural roofs for homes, cafes, and quiet doorways. It is a perfect blend of human life and nature's shelter. The village winds along a narrow river gorge, where the buildings follow the curves of the land. Sunlight filters through the narrow openings, casting soft light onto stone walls and flower pots. The streets feel cool even on warm summer days, protected by the heavy rocks above. Setenil's history is carved into every surface. It was once a Moorish stronghold, and later a place known for its wine caves, the Bodegas that give the village its name. Today, people still live in the same cave houses, passed down through generations. Inside, they are cool in summer, warm in winter, and full of stories. In the heart of Portugal, perched high on a rocky hill, lies a village built by stone, shaped by time, and held together by the will of its people. This is Monsanto, a place where granite is not just part of the land, but part of every wall, roof, and pathway. Here, massive boulders the size of houses rest quietly across the landscape. But instead of moving them aside, the villagers built their homes around them, sometimes beneath them, sometimes using them as walls or ceilings. The result is a village that seems to grow straight from the rock. The streets are narrow and steep, paved with old stones worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. Tiny houses cling to the hillside, their red-tiled roofs pressed between great grey stones. Doors and windows peek out from the rock, blending into the mountain as if they've always been there. At the top, a ruined castle watches over the village. From its high walls, the view stretches for miles, across rolling hills, green plains, and winding rivers. But down below, in the quiet of the village, the beauty is closer, more intimate. Life in Monsanto is slow and grounded. The wind moves gently between stone homes. In the quiet countryside of southwestern France, hidden among fields and forests, there is a village that glows with the color of fire and earth. This is Collonges-la-Rouge, a place where every building, every tower, every street is made from deep red stone. The moment you enter, the world seems to soften. The walls shine with warm tones of crimson and rust, glowing under the sun, or turning rich and dark in the rain. Narrow cobbled lanes wind gently between towers, arches and ivy-covered homes, each one telling a story, shaped by time. Built from local sandstone rich in iron, the village has stood for centuries. It once served as a stop for pilgrims walking the old spiritual paths. Today it remains almost unchanged, a place where history breathes quietly in every corner. Stone turrets rise above the rooftops. Ancient manors line the streets. Small cafes rest under flowering vines. The church, simple and strong, has watched over the village for hundreds of years. There is a deep sense of peace here, as if the past still lingers in the light and shadows. Off the western shores of Greece, surrounded by the clear blue waters of the Ionian Sea, lies an island of legends, olive trees, and ancient walls. In its heart, where narrow streets wind like ribbons through time, is Corfu Old Town, a village that feels like a world within a world. This is not just a place of stone and street, it is a meeting point of empires. Venetian towers rise beside French arcades. British gardens bloom near Greek chapels. The town carries the footprints of many, yet holds its own soul, proud, graceful, and endlessly alive. The buildings stand close, their walls washed in soft colors of amber, rose, and cream. Balconies overflow with flowers. Laundry sways gently in the breeze, stretched across alleys that echo with footsteps and the sound of laughter. At every turn, the old town reveals something new: a shaded square, a hidden fountain, a doorway older than memory. The streets are paved with smooth stones that have felt centuries of sandals and shoes, horse carts and bicycles. The scent of fresh herbs, strong coffee and sea air moves through the town like a quiet song. Here, life continues in balance. Markets open early, filled with bright fruit and fresh fish. Just beyond the windswept coast of western Portugal, where the land rises into wooded hills and ancient stones whisper old secrets, there is a village wrapped in mystery and magic. This is Sintra, a place where dreams and reality meet beneath the shade of enchanted forests. Tucked among the green peaks of the Serra de Sintra, the village feels timeless. Mist drifts through mossy trees, palaces rise from the hills like visions from a fairy tale. And narrow streets lined with tiled houses and flowering vines wind gently through a place that feels both real and imagined. For centuries, poets, kings and wanderers have come to Sintra in search of inspiration. The air here is different, cooler, softer, touched by the scent of stone and pine. It carries the sound of rustling leaves, distant bells, and the quiet breath of old stories. Homes and gardens cling to the hillside. Cafes sit in the calm of shaded plazas. Ancient paths lead to castles painted in bold colors, their towers peeking through the trees like crowns. Some are grand and royal, others are crumbling and quiet, all are filled with wonder. High above the rolling hills of central Italy, where stone towers rise into the sky and clouds drift close to the rooftops, stands one of the smallest and oldest countries in the world. This is San Marino, a mountain village that became a nation, yet never lost its soul. Built upon the slopes of Mount Titano, San Marino looks out across green valleys and distant peaks. From its ancient walls, you can see as far as the sea on a clear day, but within the city itself, the world feels quiet, sheltered, and timeless. The streets are narrow and paved with worn stone. Archways open into silent courtyards. Shops and cafes line the hillsides, blending with the old buildings that have stood for centuries. Life here moves with a gentle rhythm, carried by the breeze and the footsteps of those who pass through. San Marino's heart beats in its towers, 3 stone guardians standing proudly on the ridges above. These fortress towers have watched over the land for nearly 1,000 years. They speak of independence, of survival, and of a people who built their own path through history. At the edge of the Adriatic, where the mountains meet the sea in a quiet and perfect embrace, lies a walled village that holds the spirit of centuries. This is Kotor, a place of calm waters, ancient streets, and stone walls that have stood through storms, time, and silence. Protected by the arms of the Bay of Kotor, the village rests gently at the foot of steep green mountains. The bay itself is like a fjord, deep, still, and full of reflections. Boats glide softly across its surface, while the sky above shifts with light and shadow. Inside the old town, the past comes alive in stone. Narrow alleys wind through thick walls, each turn leading to a quiet square, a shaded archway, or a church whose bell has marked time for hundreds of years. The streets are paved with smooth grey stones, worn down by the passage of generations. Kotor's buildings rise closely together, their shutters painted in soft greens and browns, their walls touched by salt and sun. Laundry hangs from balconies, cats stretch out in doorways, and the scent of the sea lingers in the air. By the calm shores of one of Europe's oldest lakes, where the water is clear and the hills rise soft in the distance, there is a village where time has gathered gently, layer by layer. This is Ohrid, a place of quiet grace, where every stone, every ripple, and every church carries the weight of memory. Ohrid rests along the edge of Lake Ohrid, a vast and ancient body of water shared between mountain and sky. The lake glows with shades of blue and silver, stretching into the horizon like a living mirror. Along its shores, white houses climb the hillside, their red roofs warmed by the sun. The village feels older than history, yet full of life. Winding paths lead to hidden courtyards. Stone steps rise past ivy-covered walls. Wooden balconies overlook the water, and the scent of pine and fresh bread drifts through the morning air. Ohrid is known for its churches, small, beautiful sanctuaries built in quiet places. Some sit on rocky cliffs, watching over the lake. Others rest within the village, tucked among gardens and trees. Their frescoes and stonework tell stories older than written words. High in the hills of eastern Spain, where the red cliffs rise like ancient sentinels, and the air carries the scent of pine and stone, there is a village that seems untouched by time. This is Albarracín, a place of winding walls, soft colors, and quiet wonder. Built along a rocky ridge, the village is wrapped in a curtain of medieval walls, their towers watching over a landscape shaped by wind and centuries. The houses lean gently into the hills, their walls painted in hues of dusty rose and warm terracotta. Narrow cobblestone paths climb and curve, leading to wooden balconies, quiet plazas, and sudden views that take your breath away. In Albarracín, every step feels like walking through a forgotten story. The streets are still, except for the sound of footsteps, the breeze, and the distant ring of a bell. Stone arches frame the sky, shadows stretch softly across the walls. And the river below winds through the valley like a ribbon of silver. The village is rich with history, yet it wears it lightly. The Moorish walls still hold strong along the ridge. The cathedral rises with calm strength, and the watchtowers look out across the land as they have for hundreds of years. Along the eastern edge of southern Italy, where the land stretches into the Adriatic like a quiet promise, there is a village that sits between sea and sky. This is Vieste, a place of white stone, salty winds, and sunlight that dances across the water. Built on a rocky peninsula, Vieste rises slowly from the sea. Its whitewashed buildings reflect the light, glowing softly against the deep blues of the ocean and the pale cliffs that cradle the village. Narrow alleys twist through the old town, opening suddenly onto balconies, stairways, and hidden courtyards filled with the scent of flowers and fresh bread. The sound of the sea is never far. Waves roll gently against the rocks below. Gulls drift overhead. The rhythm of life in Vieste moves with the tide, steady, calm, and full of grace. At the edge of the village, the limestone cliffs rise tall and silent, shaped by time and wind. One great rock stands alone in the water, a natural tower carved by the waves. Local stories say it watches over the village, like a guardian made of stone and salt. The old town carries the echo of centuries. Simple homes lean into one another. Where the mountains fall steeply into the sea and lemon trees bloom in the sunlit breeze, there is a village that clings to the cliffs with quiet grace. This is Amalfi, a place where sky, stone, and salt water come together in perfect balance. Tucked into a narrow valley on Italy's southern coast, Amalfi rises from the sea like a painting come to life. White and pastel buildings stack gently along the hillside, their balconies draped with vines and the scent of citrus hanging in the warm air. The streets are narrow and winding, made for walking, wandering, and wonder. Stone staircases lead up through arches, past hidden courtyards and cool shaded walls. At the heart of the village stands the cathedral, bold, beautiful, and full of history, its striped facade shining in the sun. The harbor below hums softly, with the rhythm of boats, waves, and voices. The sea here is a deep, endless blue, and every breeze carries the sound of water and the taste of salt. In Amalfi, life is slow and full of light. Fishermen mend their nets along the docks. Shopkeepers offer baskets of lemons and handmade paper. High above the sea, where the cliffs rise like ancient waves of stone, and the wind carries the scent of jasmine and rosemary, there is a village that seems to float between earth and sky. This is Ravello, a place of silence, beauty, and gentle wonder. Far from the noise of the coastline below, Ravello rests quietly on a mountainside. Its streets are calm, its gardens vast, and its air filled with the sounds of nature and distant song. Time moves differently here, softened by flowers, stone, and light. The village is known for its views, long sweeping vistas that stretch far over the Amalfi coast and the endless sea beyond. From every terrace, every path, the horizon opens wide, painted in blues, greens, and gold. Ravello is a village of music and soul. For generations, artists and composers have found peace here. The gentle rhythm of the village, the stillness of its gardens, and the echo of bells in the valley have inspired symphonies, poems, and quiet thoughts. Its heart beats in its villas, places like Villa Sembroni and Villa Ruffolo, where arches frame the sky and ancient gardens bloom with color. Stone walkways lead through olive groves and rose-covered walls, always guiding the eye toward the sea. Along the rugged coast of northwestern Italy, where cliffs rise straight from the sea and vineyards cling to the hillsides like green lace, there is a village full of light, color, and quiet rhythm. This is Monterosso al Mare, the westernmost soul of the Cinque Terre, and a place where life flows gently with the tides. Divided between old and new, Monterosso stretches across two bays. One side holds a sandy beach, bright umbrellas, and the hum of daily life. The other side carries the soft echo of history, narrow alleys, ancient arches, and homes painted in the warm shades of coral, gold, and soft pink. The village hugs the coastline with ease, fishing boats rock softly in the harbor. Footpaths wind along cliffs, offering views where the sea sparkles like glass and the sun turns every surface to gold. In the old town, time feels still. Laundry hangs across quiet lanes. Bougainvillea spills over balconies. And the scent of fresh focaccia and lemon blossoms fills the air. The Church of St. John the Baptist rises in calm grace, its black and white stripes standing watch over the heart of the village. High above the waves, where terraced vineyards spill down ancient hills and the sea sings softly far below, there is a village that watches from above. This is Corniglia, the quiet soul of the Cinque Terre, untouched by the rhythm of the shore, and held gently in the arms of the land. The village is small and still. Narrow lanes twist between houses painted in soft shades of ochre, rust, and rose. Windows open to the wind, vines curl around iron railings. And in the quiet, you can hear the birds, the leaves, and the distant sound of waves below. Unlike its coastal neighbors, Corniglia does not rest at the water's edge. It rises from the cliffs, wrapped in stone and silence, with a view that stretches far across the sea and sky. Reached by a long climb of stone steps or a winding road through the vineyards, the journey to Corniglia feels like a passage into another time. Corniglia feels more like a gathering of homes than a town lived in, cared for, and full of life that moves slowly. Locals sit in the shade with a glass of wine. Children play beneath hanging laundry. And every terrace seems to open into a dream, with views that reach beyond the horizon.
Uçhisar.
In the center of Cappadocia, where the land is shaped by fire, wind, and time, there is a village that rises from the rock like a memory turned to stone. This is Ortahisar, the quiet fortress of the region, where ancient homes, caves, and towers all speak the language of the earth. At the heart of the village stands the Great Rock, a natural citadel carved and hollowed over centuries. Tall and silent, it watches over the valley like a guardian of time. Its tunnels, rooms, and steps once held life inside its walls. Even now, it breathes the stories of those who lived within stone. Around the rock, the village unfolds in soft colors: honey, beige, and pale rose. Stone houses, carved directly into the hills, line narrow streets that bend and fall with the land. Doors open into shadowed courtyards, arches lead to quiet paths, and every wall seems to carry a trace of history. In the early light, Ortahisar glows. The sky fills with drifting balloons. The wind moves gently over the chimney-shaped formations that dot the valley below. At the highest point of Cappadocia, where the sky opens wide and the land stretches in waves of stone and light, there is a village carved from dreams and dust. This is Uçhisar, a place of quiet strength, rising gently from the heart of volcanic earth. The village is built around a towering rock, a natural fortress, tall and weathered, shaped over centuries by wind and hands. From its peak, the view is endless. Valleys roll out like open scrolls. Fairy chimneys dot the landscape below, and in the early morning, hot air balloons drift like slow-moving stars. Uçhisar is carved, not built. Its homes, its paths, Its shelters are drawn from the soft tufa stone of the region. Tunnels run beneath the earth. Rooms glow in soft shadow. Arched doorways lead to cool, silent spaces where time rests like dust on stone. The village is peaceful. Life moves with the sun. A donkey carries firewood through a narrow lane. An old woman tends to vines on a shaded terrace. The sound of the wind is constant, soft, steady, and full of stories. In the quiet folds of Cappadocia, away from the windswept valleys and crowds, there is a village where time lingers gently between stone walls and sunlit courtyards. This is Mustafapaşa, a place where history walks softly and where beauty lies in detail, silence and memory. Once known as Sintra, this village carries the story of two worlds, of Anatolian earth and Greek roots. The homes here speak both languages. Carved archways, wooden balconies, and delicate stonework line the narrow lanes, each one telling a story of shared life and graceful craftsmanship. The streets wind slowly past pale yellow buildings, their facades etched with ornate designs, some faded, some still sharp in the morning light. Ivy climbs the walls, doors open into shaded gardens, and everywhere the scent of earth, fig trees and old stone fills the air. In Mustafapaşa, the pace is unhurried. A cat sleeps on a warm step. A shopkeeper arranges hand-woven cloth beneath a fig tree. A breeze passes through an empty square, carrying the sound of distant footsteps and bird song. Old churches rest quietly beside mosques. Nestled between the rolling vineyards of Alsace and the wooded hills beyond, there is a village that feels untouched by time. This is Riquewihr, a place of color, quiet, and old-world charm, where every step echoes with the soft rhythm of centuries past. Enclosed by medieval walls, the village stands like a painting come to life. Cobbled lanes wind gently between rows of timber-framed houses, their beams dark with age, their walls painted in soft pastels, shades of blue, yellow, green and rose. Each building seems to tell a story. Wrought iron signs hang above doorways. Window boxes overflow with flowers, and the rooftops rise and fall like the gentle hills beyond the gates. Life in Riquewihr moves slowly. A baker opens shop with the scent of warm bread. A winemaker tends to the vines that stretch in perfect rows across the valley. Visitors pause in the quiet, drawn not by grandeur, but by the village's steady beauty. At the heart of it all stands the old Dolder Tower, its clock face watching calmly over the narrow streets. Around it, homes lean gently inward, as if whispering to one another beneath the soft Alsatian sky. Cradled between steep forested mountains and the calm, glassy waters of a deep alpine lake, there is a village that feels more like a reflection than a place. This is Hallstatt, a quiet breath in the Austrian landscape, where time rests softly and nature stands in perfect stillness. The village clings to the edge of the lake, its wooden homes rising gently from the shore, their rooftops layered like feathers under the mist. Reflections blur the line between sky and water, and in the silence, even footsteps feel like echoes from another time. Narrow paths wind between homes built in harmony with the slope of the land. Balconies spill over with flowers, stone steps lead up the hillside, into a world where mountains press close and every window opens to a view of water, trees and sky. Church steeples rise above the rooftops, their bells carrying softly across the lake. And beneath the surface, the water holds the memory of centuries of salt miners, craftsmen and quiet lives lived in rhythm with the land. Hallstatt is not large. It does not try to impress. Its beauty is not in what it shows, but in how it makes you feel, calm, still, and deeply present. Tucked into a gentle bend of the Vltava River, surrounded by green hills and centuries of quiet memory, lies a village that feels like it was painted by hand. This is Český Krumlov, a place of turning waters, winding streets, and stories written in stone and sky. At its heart stands a castle, perched above the town like a sentinel from another age. Its tower rises in soft spirals of color, watching over red-tiled rooftops, quiet squares, and bridges that arc gently over the flowing river below. The village curves with the water, its narrow lanes and cobbled streets following the rhythm of the land. Homes are painted in soft pastels, with windows trimmed in wood and flower boxes spilling into the light. Every turn reveals a new scene, a quiet alley, an open arch, a view of the castle reflected in the river's calm face. Here, time has softened everything. The sounds are gentle, footsteps on stone, the flow of the river, the call of a distant bell. Art lives in the walls and windows, music drifts from courtyards, and the village carries the feeling of a world long ago, still very much alive. The old town is small, but it holds 1,000 stories. Hidden deep in the desert canyons of southern Jordan, where the wind shapes stone and the sun burns gold across the cliffs, there is a place carved not by tools alone, but by vision, belief, and time. This is Petra, a city of silence, of shadow, and of wonder, held within the heart of the rock. Once the thriving capital of the Nabatean kingdom, Petra was a place of trade, water, and wisdom. It rose from red sandstone cliffs, built not on top of the land, but into it, shaped by hand and nature together. The journey begins through the Sick, a narrow passage of towering rock walls that twist and rise like waves frozen in time. It is here that the world falls quiet, footsteps echo, the air cools, and then suddenly the path opens. Before you stands the treasury, carved with perfect symmetry, glowing in the morning light. It is not only a structure, it is a memory in stone, an offering to time itself. But Petra is more than one monument. It is a village of tombs, temples, homes, and paths, all chiseled into the red and rose cliffs. The colors shift with the sun, the stone glows with life, and each carved doorway tells of a people who understood both the desert and the divine. In the quiet heart of the Dutch countryside, where green fields stretch beneath soft skies and silence floats on water, there is a village built not on roads but on stillness. This is Giethoorn, a place where boats glide instead of cars, and every path leads across a wooden bridge or through a canal. Known as the Venice of the North, Giethoorn is not grand or crowded. It is gentle, a village that whispers, surrounded by nature and cradled by calm. Thatched roof cottages line the canals, their gardens blooming with flowers and trees reflected perfectly in the water below. Narrow footpaths and wooden bridges connect homes and hearts, each crossing offering a new view, a new silence, a new rhythm of life. There is no engine's roar here, only the soft sound of water, the creak of wood, the quiet dip of an oar. Ducks pass peacefully. A boat floats by, slow and still. A breeze stirs the reeds. Everything moves without rush. Life in Giethoorn is simple and serene. A resident tends to their flowers beside the canal. A couple glides beneath a weeping willow. The day unfolds gently, shaped by light and wind and water. Far above the Arctic Circle, where the sea meets the sky and jagged peaks rise straight from the water, there is a village that feels carved from silence and shaped by wind. This is Reine, a quiet fishing hamlet in Norway's Lofoten Islands, where every house has a view of wonder, and every breath feels like the beginning of time. The village rests gently at the edge of a deep fjord, its red and white cabins scattered like quiet thoughts along the shoreline. Reflected in still waters, they glow beneath the soft light of long summer days and the quiet magic of polar nights. Steep mountains stand behind Reine like ancient guardians, their snow-dusted peaks often hidden in mist. Their presence is constant, powerful, and calm, a reminder of nature's scale and grace. In Reine, The pace of life follows the sea. Small boats drift across the harbor. A fisherman pulls in nets as the sun hangs low. The air carries the scent of salt and cold and memory. The light is different here, pale, pure, and endless. Each season paints the village in a new mood. In winter, the northern lights dance across the sky in green and violet whispers. In the sunlit hills of Alsace, surrounded by vineyards and the slow breath of the land, there is a village that curves like a whisper. This is Eguisheim, a place of gentle colors, perfect circles, and a peace that blooms quietly through every season. The village is built in concentric rings, like a spiral drawn by memory. Each street bends softly, lined with half-timbered houses painted in earthy reds, soft blues, and warm ochres. Wooden beams cross the facades like ancient calligraphy. Flower boxes spill over with geraniums, bright and wild in the morning light. Here, beauty is in the balance. Stone paths curve beneath arched doorways. Small fountains bubble in quiet courtyards. Vines crawl up the walls, wrapping old homes in green and gold. The scent of wine, wood, and distant blossoms floats gently in the air. Eguisheim does not ask for attention. It invites stillness. It encourages wandering, without maps or schedules. A cat sleeps on a windowsill. A baker arranges fresh loaves in the quiet of dawn. Bells chime softly from the church at the village's heart. On the rugged northern coast of Malta, where cliffs fall into turquoise waters and the sun paints everything in golden light, there is a village that looks as though it was sketched by imagination and brought to life by the sea. This is Popeye Village, a whimsical creation nestled in a natural cove, where every rooftop leans and every color sings. Originally built as a film set for a story about a sailor, this village was never meant to last. But time, like tide, had other plans. The buildings remained, the laughter lingered, and the village slowly became more than fiction. It became a living place, shaped by joy, memory, and light. The homes are crooked in the most beautiful way, their walls painted in bright reds, soft blues, and sun-faded greens. Wooden walkways connect porches and piers, shutters hang askew. Everything feels like it belongs to a dream, playful, imperfect, alive. Set against the quiet curve of Anchor Bay, the village rises gently from the water's edge. Boats bob in the shallows. A sea breeze drifts through the narrow streets, and the cliffs behind stand watch, solid and silent, framing this curious world in stone.